In recent years, Hybe has grown accustomed to an untouchable status. The company became synonymous with success, power, and billion-dollar profits. But now it seems the castle is starting to crumble, and it's their own doing. Social media is on fire, fans are outraged, and even smaller groups are being dragged into the storm, which raises the question, how far is Hybe willing to go to keep making money? Hybe, which currently controls the biggest groups in Korea, is being accused of plagiarizing a smaller group, and the evidence is far from subtle. It all started when 17 released the concept photos for the new birthday version of their latest album. The images, especially those of Wonwoo, had a very striking aesthetic. A fire-printed shirt, makeup with a scar on his face, ripped jeans, a dark urban backdrop, and a rebellious vibe. At first glance, it seemed like just another creative concept, like many others. But fans were quick to notice. This concept already existed, and it had been used months earlier by the group Vanner in their album Burn. The similarities go beyond the general vibe, they're in the details. A member wearing a flaming shirt, identical, a scar on the same side of the face, that too. Same hair color, similar poses, the same heavy atmosphere. There's no need to stretch the comparison. It speaks for itself. Social media was soon flooded with side-by-side comparisons of the two groups' photos, and the outrage only grew. Vanner fans were furious, calling it blatant plagiarism, but what stood out most was that even 17's own fans, the Carrots, expressed discomfort. Many acknowledged the striking similarities and said the group deserved better, that they didn't need to recycle ideas from anyone, especially not from a smaller group whose work was clearly overshadowed in the process. And this is where the discussion gets even deeper. It's not just about two similar photo shoots. It's about a giant billion-dollar company allegedly appropriating a visual concept from a much smaller group that doesn't have the same reach or resources. It's about inequality in the industry, and the sense that the big players can do whatever they want, even copy, without facing real consequences. This case raises a red flag. Hybe has faced similar accusations in the past, involving excessive inspiration from others' work, and the pattern is starting to bother people. So far, there has been no official statement from the company regarding the comparisons between 17 and Vanner. No clarification, no attempt to resolve anything. And that, of course, only fuels the sense of impunity. The truth is, Vanner is unlikely to pick a fight with Hybe, but the public saw it, talked about it, and exposed it. And it's precisely this kind of behavior, from someone who knows they can get away with anything, that's putting Hybe increasingly under scrutiny. Because if the company feels free to copy the concept of a smaller group without even addressing it, what else might it be doing, thinking no one will notice? It was in this atmosphere of growing distrust that another episode stirred up even more discomfort, this time involving a major name, J-Hope. Everything seemed normal. A solo concert was announced, Hope on the Street, including screenings in cinemas across several countries. The promotion was flashy, as always. But there was one detail, one that didn't go unnoticed by attentive fans. Hybe published the list of countries where the concert would be shown, and Israel was nowhere to be found. But later, fans discovered that the show was going to be screened there. In fact, tickets were already on sale. The question that remained was, why did the company leave that out? To many, this wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Israel is involved in a highly tense geopolitical situation, and any association with the country can provoke strong backlash, especially during times of war. So what fans began to point out is that Hybe may have tried to hide the screening out of fear of boycott, pretending it wasn't happening, in order to protect J-Hope's image among audiences more sensitive to the Palestinian cause. And that's where the outrage comes in. Omitting a country in an official announcement just to avoid taking a stand is at the very least dishonest. Fans felt manipulated, used, because if the company decides to screen the show there, then own that decision. Explain it, take responsibility. But trying to sweep it under the rug is a direct show of disrespect to the fans, the very fans who helped BTS rise to the top. The backlash on social media was intense. People calling the act cowardly, fake. Others suggesting J-Hope himself might not even be aware of the screening, and that the blame lies with Hybe's management. And that only worsens the issue. When Hybe makes a mistake, it ends up damaging the artist's reputation. And what's worse is that this isn't the first time. The relationship between Hybe and BTS's fandom has been strained for a while. Ever since the split of subsidiaries, internal changes, and the handling of the members' contracts, a lot has been done without transparency. And when a company starts treating its own fans as pawns, it's unrealistic to expect them to stay silent. This attempt to manipulate information, to play with the artist's image while avoiding accountability, reflects the same arrogant attitude we saw in the 17 and Vanner case. And that's when we realize the problem isn't isolated. It's not just about one copied concept here or one omission there. It's about a recurring pattern in Hybe's behavior, one that seems increasingly disconnected from fans and increasingly driven by questionable decisions. A clear example of this was the recent controversy over ticket prices for J-Hope's solo tour, Hope on the Stage. Fans around the world were shocked to see that prices varied drastically depending on the country. While tickets in South Korea were around $150, in the United States they reached nearly $1,000, not including VIP packages. This disparity sparked a wave of criticism on social media, with many accusing Hybe of exploiting international fans. On top of that, the company adopted a dynamic pricing system, where ticket prices fluctuate based on demand. While this practice is common in some industries, many fans felt that Hybe was prioritizing profit over accessibility. Comments like, "They're robbing people in the name of entertainment," and "This is disrespectful to fans," flooded social platforms. And it didn't stop there. The choice of smaller venues also drew backlash. Instead of booking stadiums that could accommodate more fans, Hybe opted for arenas with limited capacity, which, combined with high demand, resulted in massive virtual queues and many frustrated fans who couldn't get tickets. These decisions raise questions about Hybe's management and its relationship with fans. Is the company truly listening to the public that has supported it all this time? Or is it drifting further away, focusing solely on maximizing profit? The truth is, for many, Hybe has stopped being that innovative, fan-friendly company and has become a distant corporation, making unilateral decisions without considering how they affect the fan base. And in the long run, that may be more damaging than any single controversy. What's most curious is that despite all these scandals, Hybe continues to act as if nothing is happening. No official statement about the Vanner plagiarism case. No clear explanation for omitting Israel from J-Hope's concert announcement. Nothing. Silence. And for many, that silence speaks louder than any press release. Because this isn't just about a company facing criticism, it's about broken trust. And in the world of K-pop, where the bond between fans and artists is built on emotion and loyalty, trust is everything. When the company managing your favorite artists starts making questionable decisions, manipulating information, and disrespecting the very fan base that keeps everything going, the bond begins to crack. And if those cracks aren't addressed, they become fractures. The public has already started to respond. In the plagiarism case, many fans chose not to promote Seventeen's new concept on social media. Support groups for Vanner organized to report the similarities on international forums. Some Karats even posted that they would boycott the comeback until the company addressed the issue. It may seem like a small gesture, but in the digital world, that kind of mobilization carries weight, especially coming from a fandom known for being highly organized and influential. In J-Hope's case, the situation hit an even more sensitive nerve, because it touches on ethical and political issues. Many international fans felt betrayed when they realized the company had tried to manipulate public perception. And when this kind of behavior directly affects BTS, a group that has always positioned itself as transparent and deeply connected with its fans, it feels like Hybe is completely disconnected from what the group truly represents. On Korean forums like the Coup and global communities like Reddit and Twitter, discussions about these controversies reached the top of trending topics. Fans talked not only about the incidents themselves, but about the company's pattern of behavior, from mismanagement and plagiarism to silencing and exploiting artists. Some even compared Hybe to major corporate conglomerates that, over time, become too cold and calculated to handle something as human as the bond between artist and fan. And that's where the company's image starts to fall apart. Because Hybe always sold itself as the new generation of K-pop, the one that would break with outdated practices and put the artist first. But its recent actions tell a very different story. And no pretty slogan can fix that disconnect if the behavior doesn't match the words. The result is growing distrust. Until now, Hybe's biggest groups, like BTS and 17, have carried the company on their backs. But how long can that last if the management behind them keeps making decisions that push away the very people who keep the industry alive, the fans? This isn't just a PR crisis. It's a crisis of direction. And the most dangerous part is that Hybe still seems unaware of how much damage has already been done. In the end, the problem isn't just isolated controversies, it's the growing feeling that Hybe has stopped listening, that the company has let success go to its head and forgotten who put it where it is today. The public isn't naive. Fans notice, they question, they compare. And once they begin to doubt the intentions behind decisions, the image starts to crumble, no matter how big the company is. Hybe still has time to course correct, but to do that, it needs to drop the arrogance and take accountability. Pretending nothing is happening might work for a while, but once trust is broken, no marketing strategy can fix it. And what about you? Do you think Hybe will change its ways, or just keep ignoring everything until the next scandal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This conversation is far from over.